Hello, well met. Welcome to the
Hey.
pre-show hangout. I'm here with the Dungeon Scrawlers. Includes me and Rhiannon. I almost called you Artemisia again. And Allie and Ben.
Artemisia's
Brian
not
is
even
not
playing in
here.
this game.
Yeah, I know, right? Brian's not here because of he has some headache going on today and can't make it.
Do we have
But
a giveaway today, by the way? We can
oh,
start
that's a
typing it
good
now, but
question.
yang yang. Voice of God. Okay. Voice of God says no in the chat. No giveaway today. Sorry. You'll have to
No
come back
giveaway
for
today.
You
another
must work for your swag today.
Although we
another episode.
probably have an Idle Champions code like we usually do on
Yes.
Wednesdays. So
Yes, that'll be up.
so there will be that. So what are some cool things going on? I know Ben is looking for a new place.
Wow, like way to out me like that, Eric.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I'm like, that's not fun at all.
Unless you have an interior design degree like I do. Don't
Oh,
ask
okay.
why
Yeah, yeah,
an
yeah.
art degree, yeah, anyway, don't ask about my profession and my degree interacting because they don't.
I mean, I
Like
make my sister do my decorating. She doesn't have a degree, but she has like interest, which is
Enthusiasm.
what I do not have. Yes,
Mm-hmm,
exactly.
mm-hmm.
Enthusiasm. So,
I have been told that I am what is referred to in the industry as a critical buyer, which means that I have many opinions, and I share them sassily.
Excellent.
I mean, if you're going to share them, you might as well share them sassily, right?
Well, that's how I feel. And luckily, both my realtors are like a gay couple. And so we speak the same language. But nonetheless, I am apparently a critical buyer. Maybe that was because I saw the lobby of a building and I was like, I mean, the unit's nice, but the lobby looks like a 90s postmodernist hellscape that belongs somewhere near Disneyland. And I hate it.
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
not going to
that's
live in the lobby, though. That's what
Fair
I would
point.
say. But
Fair point.
I guess you'd have to see it every day. Unless you hid in your apartment to keep away from the lobby.
actually, in her house search with her partner, my sister came across some stuff that she like hangs on to. She's like, science proves me that it's correct what I'm doing. Because she found an article that was talking about how your conscious is very narrow bandwidth, but it's articulate. It can use words. And your
Mm,
unconscious is very wide bandwidth, but it is inarticulate. It cannot use words. So the
interesting.
wide bandwidth, if you walk into a house, takes in a lot of things,
Mm.
and it takes them all in and makes a decision, and then it says, and your conscious mind is left being like, well, that sounds like a no, but why? And with its narrow bandwidth, it's like, cupboards. Cupboards are yellow. Yellow is bad. Bad yellow cupboards. And so if you say to your realtor, like, I can't live in this place, the cupboards are yellow, they'll be like, I mean, you can repaint your cupboards.
Right.
But what it actually is that your unconscious like took the sum of many, 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 many things and put it into that inarticulate noise. And it was just your consciousness that like your conscious mind that decided that that noise meant cupboards, when in fact it was probably many things. So maybe you should listen and be like, it's not actually the cupboards, don't know what it is, but not this place. So
I feel like I
I've
should
tried to
apply
live by
this.
that.
I feel like I should apply this to my dating life.
I mean, so she was house searching. I was talking about dating. This is the context in which it came up in conversation.
Oh, there you go.
So,
Yeah.
Listening to your instincts is very valid. We have those for a reason. It's not always clear what that reason is, but they're still valuable.
It's funny. I remember like canceling on a date because we hadn't even met yet and he was already like annoying the heck out of me.
yeah,
And
do it.
some friends of mine were like, well, what did he do to annoy you? And I told them, which I won't tell you all in case you're all like, wow, your friends were right. But I told them and they're like, that seems a little unreasonable. You should have given him the chance. I'm just like, look, I was
Nope,
annoyed. If I was
nope, don't
annoyed
do it.
before I even met the person, where is this going to go? Nowhere good.
Listen to your unconscious, man.
Like that guy is a champion annoyer, and
Like
you dodged a bullet.
because I did that because I had some super duper well-intentioned coworkers the last
Mhm.
time I was like heavily into the online like churn. Um, and so they'd be like, "How did your date go last night?" You know, at the proverbial water cooler. And I'd be like, "Well, his jokes weren't funny. And so like we can never see each other again." And they would be like, "Well, he was probably just nervous. You need a second date." And I would be like,
Nah.
and now I'm like, no, I don't know what it actually was, but like what my brain labeled it was his jokes weren't funny, and like I have no regrets. Like I can't even remember his name, like that particular guy whose jokes weren't funny. Um,
That seems reasonable to me.
That reminds me, I enjoy the YouTube channel Cinema Therapy, which is a movie director and a therapist that sort of dissect relationships and like the healthiness or unhealthiness of behaviors of characters in movies. And they actually they talked about that where they were talking about people trying to be helpful and be like and talk you through these things, and the therapist was like, no, like if it doesn't feel right, or the therapist is saying like this generally works if you don't have a good first date, there's no reason to go on a second date. If you didn't enjoy yourself, just say no, it's not going to go anywhere good. And then he paused and said, except for my sister is the exception to that. She went on a date with a guy and they hated each other. They were literally like yelling and fighting and arguing over everything. And they left and she was like, forget that guy. Like, I've never seen that guy again. And then he called her back and said, I had such a good time. I'm really looking forward to seeing you again. When can we hang out? And apparently she only said yes because she was just so perversely curious about why he wanted to see her again. She agreed to the second date and now they're married. And according to this therapist, doing fine. And I'm like, are they though? I don't know.
I mean that, yeah, concern, but all right.
This is Allie's concern phase.
Mm,
Oh, I like that concern phase. That's
yeah.
a good one.
All right, I
Uh,
gotta save to watch later. All right, let's do this. That sounds like my kind of YouTube channel. I need more YouTube channels. I find all these like really great creators, and then they like, have lives and don't put out a new video every day. And I'm like, good for you, work-life balance. Like, do only what you're, comfortable with. But I have nothing to watch.
oh,
I demand content.
entertain me.
I watch a lot of YouTube videos too, usually about video games and things that I haven't even played. And I'm just like, yeah, that sounds kind of neat. Let's go into a deep dive about the story and its deeper meanings. Oh, this also sounds neat. Still never going to play it, but that's okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, it's all about the individual person. Like, I will listen to the right person talk about like uh Disney's fast pass system or like things like I have no interest in Disney or like theme parks but like that was hell interesting. Um, but you, the algorithm, like never mind the algorithm, like me just clicking on things like, do I like this person? I don't know until I've watched like 3 of their things. So it makes it hard to find like the right people, no matter what they're talking about.
There are streamers and video essayists whose voices I just find very soothing. And so I'll just listen to them for hours and hours on end, just like, huh, this is nice.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I know that there's at least one channel that I can't remember the name of now, but I've kind of stumbled across while just looking into videos about like topics of psychology and mental illness and like discussing traits of certain things. And just the one of the people on that channel has such a soothing voice. And it's like it could be the most like very kind of depressing like uh topics that really hits hard and hits home because it's like, oh, I recognize all of these traits in myself, and then it's like, but it's so soothing. Like, and then I watched one that had a different person, and I'm like, oh, this is like now I'm sad.
Yeah, I did that with a podcast that changed hosts, like because there are 2 hosts and one of them changed because like life stuff. So I don't blame the hosts that had to leave. Like, I totally get their reasons, but the new host, I'm like, your speech patterns, I just don't want to listen to them. Like, just somehow, like their
Mhm.
pattern of pacing and when they interrupt and with the other co-host, like, was just totally off and wrong for me. I'm always off balance. And that's just totally me, but I've had to stop listening to that podcast
Yeah.
mostly.
It's like, no offense, but you sound wrong. And I shall be discontinuing my fandom of this podcast.
Yeah.
Thank
Well, that
you
was
so
kind of-
much.
That
Goodbye.
was kind of my reaction to the other like voiceover person on this channel. Like, it's only one video that I've found with this person, but it's like, oh, if I had not heard the other person, this would have been fine. This is plenty soothing, like this person's voice. And yet, because I am now familiar and a fan of the other person, I'm just like, no, this is not. This cannot be countenanced.
There's
But
actually
interruption patterns are so sorry, Benjamin.
no, you're fine.
I'm
Go ahead.
interrupting you.
No, well, lag, internet thing stuff.
Yeah.
No, I was just gonna say there was definitely an early YouTube channel that still exists and I still watch. I mean, the content is good, but only because of her voice. She's a mini painter and she's like,
Aw.
here's me painting minis and I'm telling you how to do it. But I
Yay.
don't know anything about this woman. I think maybe she's somewhere in Germany, and it's not even that she has like a German accent. It's just she has a way of speaking, but I can't identify it. But I describe her voice as that of a biblically accurate angel. I'll let that soak in for a second, where it's just like she
Okay.
sounds real sweet, but also I'm just like, something is wrong and I don't know what it is.
A little bit
But
terrifying at the same time.
at the same time, I love it. It's
Mm.
amazing. Also, every time she says her name, I still don't know what her name is because she says, "Hello, Tubies, it's your girl." Like, and I'm just like,
That's
I
great.
love you so much. Please just keep painting minis and speaking and never stop. Like,
Oh man.
yeah, she's great. Like, legit, this is no shade for me. I'm not making fun of her at all. I really genuinely enjoy her voice. And it's also like
Yeah.
a little odd and terrifying in some ways. I found a D&D YouTuber that has a really great accent, and like I think literally all he's doing is just like reading old Forgotten Realms lore books. He's like, let me tell you all about brass dragons, and then he's just basically like reading excerpts from like previous edition lore books, and I'm like, this is great. This saves me so much time from going down Forgotten Realms wiki holes. Like, I love this. Like, this is me being supremely lazy while still absorbing lots of D&D lore. I love it. Also, you have a great accent.
Yeah, awesome. So, speaking of D&D lore,
Mm.
I
Let
think
me
at this
tune out.
point,
Go open
we've
the-
all seen the D&D movie. Yes?
Mm.
Well, I have seen that. All right, I'll tune back.
Okay.
Mhm.
I don't do
Ben-
lore, but I do. I
Ben,
did
you
watch the movie.
haven't seen it? Or you have seen it?
I saw it with you.
Oh yeah, that's right. You did see it with me.
Eric.
Yeah, it was a long time ago, like 10 days ago. Yes, Ben was there. So now that Rhiannon has seen that,
I had seen it before. I was going
Okay.
to see it again with my parents, and I did.
now that we've all seen it at least once,
Hmm.
I don't actually have a question about it. I just think it's a great movie, and I wanted to remind everybody.
It is. It is absolutely a great movie.
I mean, it's silly. It's
It's silly, but
daft. It's
it's silly, but it's silly in a way that feels Dungeons and Dragons to me. Like, I
Very
know
much
it's not
so.
everyone's D&D experience. Some people play it really straight. Like, they go for like the complete seriousness. But honestly, even for me, like in my most serious campaigns that I've played in, I still joke around a little bit. I still I'll mess around. Even if I'm just joking out of character, So it kind of still had that casual kind of like people playing around a table kind of vibe, which
Well, yeah,
I
there
really
was-
enjoyed.
there was a nice mix of just kind of silliness and relaxed stuff and slapstick and hijinks, and also, some quiet, serious moments. And
That's the thing
and
that Marvel has forgotten how to do, is do anything besides humor. Like some of the recent Marvel movies have been like nearly unwatchable to me because like you have an emotional moment and it's like boom, joke, and I'm like, well, shit, there go my like emotions.
you get a
Yeah, I
minute
don't.
to sit with it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that myself. Like I still enjoy a lot of the Marvel stuff, but that specifically is just like it can be jarring, and I wish this odd sensibility hadn't kind of cropped up where it's like, okay, we gave them that moment of like, drama and sad. Immediately there must be humor to undercut it. Uh can't let people feel things for too long, can we?
Well, it's starting to feel like over polished to me, where
Yeah.
like they did it and it was a little bit more real, and then they're
Mhm.
like, hey, people like this quippy thing, let's do lots of it.
We found the formula. Let's repeat that ad nauseum until people are completely sick of it.
It's
Yeah.
like my entire friends group after we all watched a lot of Buffy, and then we're all like, "Hey, we can say clever, cute little weird one-liners that to be friends, to be interesting. We're interesting and funny, right? Following now." Like,
Yeah. Yeah, it's overcorrecting is what it is.
it was really, I think what we're saying is that Joss Whedon is to blame for everything.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and blame Joss Whedon for everything. I
I'm
think that's
comfortable with that.
reasonable.
I mean, it's true, but also I'm like, let's erase him from history.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Is it giving him too much credit to blame him for everything?
The two opposing
Maybe.
impulses, because it kind of is his fault, but like also I want him to be forgotten. So
That's fair. Well, so reaching back even before that, talking about sort of weird like humor interrupting things and serious, I actually what you were all talking about made me think of like the original Lord of the Rings trilogy and how when I watched it for the first time, because sorry, Ellie, I like my fantasies here. Despite the character I'm playing in this game, I really like serious like
Oh,
fantasy.
I do too. I love it.
Yeah, but I remember watching the second Lord of the Rings movie and be like, awesome. So we've got like the comic relief dwarf. Like that's all Gimli was. The entire second movie was like, I'm the comic relief dwarf. Aren't you? Aren't I providing you some relief during this like 2 hour long battle scene at Helm's Deep? I'm the comic relief, so you don't get bored. I was so annoyed. I hated it so much. You
And
know,
then you had the
really
Hobbit
important
movies.
topics that are timely and relevant to today. For it, how old is that movie now? Actually, no one say that because then I'm going to feel old.
I remember thinking that like that did kind of work for me because like watching it in the theater and you've been in the theater for like a really long time and it's super intense, like when there was a laugh, the laughter like literally and figuratively made me breathe, and so that meant I could take a breath to like continue to be in the intense fight scene.
Mm,
And like too much intensity for too long, like if it goes all the way up and then just holds there, I start to like disconnect and then I'm not like emotionally there anymore. And so the laugh was a breath of like, okay, and then back into the intensity. And so it
sure.
allowed it to keep me in that fight scene when normally like long-term sort of action scenes, I get more and more disconnected as time goes on.
Hmm.
So what you're saying is that the comic relief really was a relief.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's a valid filmmaking and storytelling tool. I guess just that specific execution of it, I found it jarring, personally for me only. But
Yeah.
then
Well,
again, as
I mean, it's totally okay. We're all different people with different
yeah,
views, and things hit us all differently, especially things from 20 years ago. Um, it's been a
thanks,
while.
Eric.
Yeah, you're welcome.
It has been. It has.
But as Eric well knows from my very first D&D character in his very campaign, at the time I was even more serious about D&D, and I was like, I will be Galadriel in every campaign. I am elf and beautiful and powerful, and don't you dare that. Oh, serious.
Yes.
That's serious business.
Yes. Ben's character was clearly the most serious and most responsible member of that particular party.
Was I the most? Actually, maybe I was the most
You
responsible.
you definitely were. Like you were chaotic, but everyone was chaotic.
Yeah, that's true.
Even the ones who weren't technically chaotic were
Well,
chaotic.
I was chaotic in the annoying way that paladins are chaotic, where you're like, surely this paladin will read the room and know that this is not what we did. Nope. Okay. Nope. Sticking to his guns. Got it. Okay. Cool.
So what you're saying is I can like pass off the mantle of the responsible one. Is that what can happen in this campaign?
To Zeph. Absolutely.
Well, there is that.
Maybe not to Zeph, yeah.
I mean, I am a captain. I have been in charge. I'll gladly take charge.
Yes, you have been in charge.
Oh.
Where's your ship now? Oh, ooh.
I
We haven't
mean,
decided that. We'll
Too
see.
soon.
We'll see.
Considering what happened last episode, too soon. Eric, too soon. Also, Allie, I love your face so much every time. Like you're so like I can clearly see when I'm like said something that was full of crap because you're just immediately like
Yeah. Yeah. I try to be expressive.
you succeed and I love it.
actually, I
Great.
guess Ansari is not being that responsible because she's like the equivalent of 16. So like only so much.
Mm.
It
she's
seems
gonna
like
do.
everybody's expecting her to be wise and responsible.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And
C above equivalent of
yeah.
16.
But they don't understand the whole equivalent of a teenager thing.
Which is like it's funny because I think with Lucretia, like she has no opinion on that aspect. It's like Ansari is Ansari, and like she's not coming into it with any kind of preconceived notions, in part because she doesn't care. Like not that she doesn't care necessarily in the however capacity she can about like the other party members or anything. Just like that general like is she wise or is she like a teenager? Like she doesn't that aspect is not relevant to her
So
because
Lucretia's only criteria is do I need to stab it? If no, then don't care.
it's a vast oversimplification, but kind of. Uh
How dare you accurately like summarize my character?
it's fair.
No,
Like
good.
I'm trying to play her with some degree of nuance, but like yeah, that she does come off as very like she's got a very specific like
Yes,
line, a very
you do
few.
have disparate motivations, and I'm hoping that they will kind of come together. Like there are common threads that aren't necessarily super clear yet, but they will be.
Yeah, like I mean, I'm hoping it's not coming off as too jarring. Like I think that they
No.
work her motivations work well together, and I am trying to kind of display that bit where she and the entity that she's getting her power from don't necessarily always meet eye to eye.
And it's like we're still early. We're only,
Mhm.
a few sessions in. You've got to like you've got your shtick, and then it's like you need time to explore the shtick, and then you can move into like adding like, the gradient at the edges.
Yeah, and all start weaving together as time goes on.
It's true.
Yep. I do like that. I do like though that at this point it just seems to be like charisma of 18, kind of bad at flirting is her whole thing in that sphere.
I wish that there were things where you could get, how like you can have disadvantage against stealth checks because of armor and like things like that. I wish that there was ways that you could get like disadvantage against like persuasion or like certain kinds of charisma check because you're like, I have very high charisma, but it's all like I took a feat that makes me really good at intimidation, but it gives me disadvantage at all persuasion checks or something like that. I think that would be fun.
Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
Uh-oh.
Well, I mean,
We got hand to chin thoughtfulness. I've made a monumental error, everyone. I'm sorry.
you could always be a mutant blood hunter and drink potions that dump one of your stats for giving you an advantage on another one, which is some really crazy critical role stuff, and it's pretty fun. Just saying.
And it looks like we are, I believe, out of time
Yep.
because we
Yep,
gotta go.
that's about time to go to our pre-show, between pre-show hangout and show. We have the pre-show advertisement, which we're gonna do now. So don't go away. We'll be back soon.